Hey everyone, Mike Hagon at the Hagon Jones Homestead, out here in the greenhouse, putting together a quick little video on propagating cloning cuttings from a weeping willow that I found in a park near my house. We want to put some agricultural ponds, or watering holes, that's the wording, on the farm to kind of have some water storage for the animals and the orchard that's going in. And nothing better than a couple of weeping willows around those. So I head off to a little park near my house this morning, or near the farm, grabbed, 3 or 4 branches off that tree, smaller ends, and I'm going to do willow cuttings, or at least I'm going to attempt to do willow cuttings. So I'll show you what I'm doing. You can check it out, and then I'll post a follow-up video as I usually do when they're rooted and I'm transplanting them into soil. From what I understand, willows are quite easy. I've used, what I'm going to show you is willow water before, where I take willows that I have on the property, they're pussy willows, and I break them up, rough them all up, and then I put them in water and they soak. And willows are great for helping plants root. I don't know the name of the chemical, you can Google it or whatever's in there, but they're good for that. And I've actually had these little cuttings root around, apple cuttings or cherry cuttings or any other kind of cutting that I use willow water. So I know willows root quite easily. So what I'm going to do to keep it separate is I've got these soaking. I'll show you what I did to the pussy willow branches to kind of rough them up. And then I'm going to actually strain it into some empty plastic containers. Once it's in there, I'll cut my weeping willow branches that I picked up this morning. Get them all around the same size, about that 7-8 inches, somewhere around there. Put them into the containers, let them root, and then transplant them into soil. So that is the video. Check it out. Alright, so like I said, I wanted to make sure I keep it separate. I mean, you can really tell the difference between the 2 willows there. Hey, buddy. We got a rooster living in the shop. So you can really tell the difference there. So I'm going to take the pussy willow. I'll show you what I did. I kind of, so it fits into the bucket nice and neat, I kind of cut it down into short lengths, scuffed them up a bit to kind of get access to that, greenery underneath. And then I actually, once I kind of roughed them up a bit, took a hammer and gave them a little bit of a mash. There we go. Into the water. I actually did warm water because I forgot to set these up the other day. So I got a little bit of warm water in there, not boiling, but lukewarm, kind of with the cuttings in there. You can break them up, it's good. Just the more exposed insides, the better. That's what helps things root. So that is how I made my willow water for this situation. Usually I'd like to let this sit for 24 hours. I don't know if you heard that, 24 hours before I use it, but that is willow water. All right, so I've got my jugs filled with willow water. Again, I think it's pretty redundant. I probably didn't need to do that, but I did just in case. And now I've got my willow branches that I got. What I'm going to do is, just take sections off, like that one right there. That's a plant. And then I'll take that. Right, that's a plant. 1, 2. Try to get them the same length. That's a plant. That one. So real simple, as you can see. Just take your willow branch, nothing special, trying to go, I don't know, maybe that's 8 inches right in, get them all about the same length, and just right into the water. Then I'm going to let this sit in the water, and I'll keep an eye on the water, to make sure it stays healthy. But I'll keep an eye on the water, watch the roots, If the water starts to get slimy or disgusting, I'll switch it out for fresh water. Give everything a rinse, put fresh water in. Outside of that, I'm hoping to see roots in just a little while. So I'm not even, I mean, as you can see, I'm not even roughing these up. I'm just not worried. I think willows are quite easy to root. I will speed through all this, and then we'll do the end of the video. So I got way more than I need, but that's okay. What I did for fun is I kept some of the thicker ones separate, just to see if these, if they root, great. They're going to be a stronger, larger to start than, some of these weaselly little ones here. So what I did with the bigger ones, again, cut that rough length about the same, and then just a little added step for the bigger ones. I kind of gave it just a quick, scuff with my blades. Doesn't have to be anything perfect, just to kind of open up some of that bare underneath. Give it a clean, because I always think that the fraying bark is roots and get all excited when it's nothing. And then and then into the willow water. That is that. Like I said, I'm going to need maybe 10 trees, but I got to be at least 100. All right, down in the greenhouse, it is March 8th. I've got the willow cuttings, which we've just watched. We've done a whole whack, probably over 100 willow cuttings. Put them into willow water on the 26th of February. So 2 days plus 8, we're about 10 days in. I don't have a ton of roots, but I'm excited. It's been warm. I want to put some of this stuff into soil. So I'm just going to transplant some of the ones where I can see the white nubs coming out, the beginning of roots. I'll put them into the nice soil that I got here. Again, this is my usual. I got Pro Mix. I've soaked them really good, and then I have them actually sitting in water, so they're soaking up from the bottom. That way I know the soil's nice and good and wet. So something I'm doing, I use rainwater down here in the shop. It's cold, right? It's winter time here in Ontario. It's -10 at night, so my water that's in the shop, although it's warmer in the shop because of the fire, it's still cold. So I like to warm my water up a little bit on the wood stove before I pour it in here if I'm going to do transplants, or I'm moving cuttings from last fall out of the greenhouse inside to get them started early. I'll give them not hot water, just a little bit of warm water to help thaw and warm up that soil. So I did that here, just a little bit of warm water. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how I'm taking the willow cuttings and putting them into soil. Nothing crazy, nothing fancy, but I'll show you these, hands down, so far in my career of not long doing cuttings, these were the easiest and fastest turnaround that I've had. So this is fantastic. One thing I will show you is I did a variety of sizes of cuttings. I did the tips, if you will, thinner, and I did some thicker cuttings. I've left the really thick cuttings, so about the size of a number 2 pencil, inside. I'm not going to be planting those. I'm going to let those roots really develop in the water, and then I'll transplant them into bigger pots and have those for long-term growth. But out of these small ones here I just wanted to show you. So here is a tip, and you can see, there's a couple white bumps right in here where the roots are coming out, but those are the thinner ones. And then if I find a thicker one here, you can really see the difference in the root development. I mean, look at this guy here, right? Sticking right out. So in my experience so far, first time ever doing willow cuttings, the thicker, not the thick, but closer to that number 2 pencil size. Like, these are definitely way smaller, but the roots grow a little bit faster on the thicker branches. So I'll be transplanting the thick ones today. And let me just get the camera set up and I'll show you how I'm doing that. All right. So I've got my pots, as I said. I've got them pre-soaked so you didn't have to watch that. Make sure that soil is nice and wet for when I transplant the cuttings. I'm just using a little, riffle skewer that I had. I put a little mark on here. If you can see, that is about the depth of the water. So you know, that's going to be the highest point in which there's roots coming out of my cutting. So I know when I bury this into the soil, I'm going to get maximum coverage on all those roots. Something I didn't do, which I would usually do with cuttings, is I didn't put any organic fertilizer, bone meal, blood meal, anything like that in here. I only did not because, you know, the roots aren't really developed yet. I will give them a week kind of in the soil, and when I plant some later on that are more developed with the roots, I probably will pre-add it to the soil, but I'll top dress and water it in about a week. So basically, I'm going to take my skewer, I'm going to go right down to my line, kind of widen the hole. Okay, don't want to go too wide. And then I'll take a nice thicker cutting. Well, you know what, this one I'm going to let it sit a little bit longer, get a couple more roots. There, that one has a nice root up top there. So I'm going to put that one in, and I'm just gently putting it in, making sure I don't force it so it breaks off those roots. And then I will pack the soil nice and tight, and I'll water them all at the end. So let's do some more here. That one's got a nice big root up top there. So we'll go all the way in. And then pack the soil around it. That's got a nice one right up top there. All right, so that's the first batch, and I'll just speed through the second batch for you there. All right, well, that's pretty well it. I'm going to give them one last good soaking from the top to kind of make sure that any hole around the stem or the branch cutting is filled up by soil so that there's not any air pockets. This is nice. Again, I'm using semi-warm water just because it's still winter. I don't want to shock them with super cold water. So that is it. That is all. Like I said, so far in my cuttings career, willows have been the easiest cutting. Why I did these, we're going to build a couple ponds on the farm. I want to put the weeping willows around it so that they can shade the pond so I get less algae growth. Now I said ponds, but legally I'm going to call them agricultural watering holes so I don't have to get permits. So that's that. And then again, I'm looking at the tree sites because I do buy seedlings and stuff from other tree sites if I'm not having a great time growing the seeds. And a 10-gallon pot weeping willow, so let's say 5-6-year-old weeping willow, was $160. So if I can put 20, 25, 30 of these cuttings into larger pots, and I can sell them for $80, $90 in 3-4 years, why the heck not, right? That's free money because the cuttings So far, the only cost for these is the soil I put them in, and let's say worst case scenario, 75 cents a pot. These are all recycled pots. You can see I used milk containers. These were given to me by a neighbor, so cost on that is real low. So here we are, the opportunity. What do we have here? 6, 7, 13 willows. It's free money. Can't complain. Thank you so much for checking out the Hagon Jones Homestead video on growing willow cuttings. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. We've got a ton more plantings coming out, and it's going to get really exciting this spring. Super busy. Can't wait. Have a great day.